how and why did you choose your line of work?
Well, it's funny. How and why? I've always wanted to be a fireman ever since I was a little kid. I'm the first one in my family to be able to be a fireman.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, it's grandpa was a fireman, your dad was a fireman. I'm the first one ever.
Right.
I thoroughly love my job, though. What was the second part of that?
Oh.
When and why?
Oh, how and why?
Oh, well, there was a show called Emergency on TV in 1975, and when that came out, I knew I wanted to be it. I mean, I was born in '65. I wanted to be a fireman since a little kid. I mean, I had no problem. Sometimes in high school, kids have no idea what they're going to do. That wasn't me. There's no doubt about it.
Like this was something that you were called to do.
Oh yeah, the life's calling. Yeah.
Yeah.
It worked out really well for me. Besides enjoying going to help people, I was off those 2 days off.
Mm-hmm.
I have 4 boys. One when I met my wife, she already had 2, so I became an instant dad. Then I had 2 more, and I've always been. It allows you the days off. I've always been a big part of my kids' lives, so I watch them grow up.
It's nice that you're able to have the days off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny, when I was younger, I didn't have to recover as much. I know why they give you those Tuesdays off, so you can come home and go to bed. A lot of times I come home and go to bed now. Yeah.
Do you think of your work separate from your leisure? Or are there times when they intertwine?
You know, it's funny you say that. I'm always on duty.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my wife gets mad at me a lot of times. We're driving down the expressway. I see an accident or something. I always pull over, help people out. Or we're in a store and something happens. I'm the first one there.
Right.
I'm kind of always on duty, which I don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
I saved a woman's life one time in 1994. I gave her mouth to mouth in church.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first and only time I've ever given mouth to mouth. But she was talking when I was done.
Right.
So it must have worked.
Yeah, it must be nice to have that skill set.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you never know when it's going to be needed.
You don't know. I was at Dengio's eating dinner a couple weeks ago, and a woman slipped and fell.
Right.
And I was on duty right there. I mean, I wasn't sitting there eating dinner, but I instantly was on duty.
I mean, you don't have to get specific.
No, I'm not going to get specific.
Okay.
I just had a guy who he lives in Buffalo Grove. He was on the board in the Village of Niles.
Okay.
And I don't mind saying where he worked and stuff like that. But we picked this guy up. He fell at a grocery store. We picked him up at 11 o'clock in the morning. He was embarrassed. He was bleeding. We put him in the ambulance. I made him feel better, and on the way to the hospital, he got gruffy with me and said, I don't want to go to no damn hospital and stuff like that. Well, I talked him into it, and I said, we have to take you in. And he was, by the time we got to the hospital, he was shaking my hand saying, thank you for all this stuff. So then later on that day, we had lunch and we had dinner. I get a phone call after dinner. The guy's on Dundee Road, because I'm way up at the North Station, but the guy's on Dundee Road went to his house and he died. They released him from the hospital, and he had a brain bleed and died. But yeah, I made a connection with him that morning, and then he died that night. It was tough, but
yeah.
But for a little while, in the ambulance ride, I don't know. There's a lot of times you get these. I get a lot of older women who are scared in the ambulance, and just to hold their hand, or that you are there with them, they really enjoy that.
Yeah.
It really makes a personal touch.
So you kind of make connections
Right.
with people like on a daily
Oh,
basis.
Yeah. And then another one, I was on a car accident about 11 o'clock at night. I really wasn't paying attention to the car accident or even the girl. And all of a sudden her parents they pull up on the scene and come tearing down the street. Well, I'm trying to stop them before they get in the ambulance. And they come running up to me and go, oh, it's Mr. Butler here from St. Mary's. Thank you so much for taking care of our daughter. I didn't even recognize him. And I recognized the mother, but I didn't recognize the parent,
Right.
the father, or the daughter. So, and that made me feel good.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it.
All right,
Yay,
thank you.
it was pretty quick
All
and
right,
painless,
where's my
right?
envelope?
No, you're good. Cool. All right. So, Corey, you were an assistant to a social worker in a hospital. So, what was the best aspect of your job and the worst?
I would say that the best aspect of my work in helping people was when I am able to help get something for somebody that they wouldn't have been able to get themselves. So like whenever I was able to find a resource for them that I don't don't think they otherwise would have gotten. That's probably the best part of the work. And also, like, when people are grateful, I mean, that always helps. It's always nice to hear that you're appreciated. So that's pretty nice, too. The worst aspect of my work, probably when people don't want your help, even though you know that you could help them. People have personal autonomy, so if they don't want help, then you can't make somebody take the help. So it's kind of hard to see someone kind of sabotaging themselves out of something good that they could have had for their life. And then also another worse aspect maybe is, or at least a challenging aspect is, sometimes we don't have the resources to offer people, and that's hard too. Whenever you know that somebody needs something but you can't get it for them, those are probably the worst parts.
All right, thanks. And then what sort of impact do you think your work makes?
I think I am fortunate enough that I can see some of the immediate impact of my work. Like when you see someone going home from the hospital and they feel confident and excited about going home with everything in line for them to be successful at home. So it makes a personal impact, I think, that you can see right away, and that's nice. That's a benefit. But I think our work also has more lasting impacts in helping to advocate for people's rights for additional services in the hospital. I think without our work, people wouldn't know that they should be asking for more, that they deserve more. So I think that it has other ramifications other than just personal.
All right, thank you.
When?
I do feel like this is my true calling, because before I had this job, I always sort of knew in the back of my mind that I wanted to help people for a living. I just never did it, so every job I had, I was never really happy. Now that I have this job, I get to help people every day, and I realize that that's exactly what I want to be doing.
Do you think of your work separate from leisure, or are there times they intertwine? If so, how?
They definitely intertwine, especially at the firehouse. There's lots of times where it is very leisurely. We're just waiting for something to happen, especially at night. We work during the day, get all our chores and maintenance and training accomplished, and then after dinner, we can kind of just sit around. So it definitely does intertwine. But for the most part of the day, it definitely does feel like work.
Tell me about your proudest achievement.
My proudest achievement was just getting hired. It was such a long road to get onto a fire department full time, and I had to do a lot of things to make that happen. So my proudest achievement was just the day I got hired.
Describe an average day at work.
Average day at work, we go in at shift starts at 7:30. We relieve the person that was on shift the night before. They give us a rundown of what happened that night, if they went on any calls, if they used any equipment. If they did, it's usually our responsibility to clean any of that. And we start up all the rigs, check out all our equipment, make sure everything's in good working order. After that, we'll start cleaning. After we're done cleaning, we usually do some training, and then then we'll go shopping for lunch and dinner. Go to the grocery store, make lunch. After lunch, more of the same. We just kind of train, figure out things that need to be done around the house, and then it's usually dinner time. After dinner time, it's usually free time after you're done cleaning up everything from that. Just kind of lay around, watch TV, respond to calls as they come in, and then around 10 o'clock, we usually go to sleep, and then we wait to get relieved at 7:30 the next morning.
What advice would you give someone who is looking to work in your field?
The advice I'd give to somebody who wants to work in my field is that it's a great job, and if you really want it, you pretty much have to be good at taking tests, learn the tests that departments give out, take the test often to get better at them.
What is your educational background?
I have a bachelor's degree from Northwood University, concentration in finance.
What is your work environment like at your current job?
Work environment is pretty laid back. Work in a hospital, so a lot of moving pieces, a lot of moving parts that go on, but busy, but not formal.
Okay. And then what is your current job?
As a supply chain manager.
The best aspect and the worst aspect of your job.
Best aspect, I get to work with two of the things that I enjoy, numbers and statistics, as far as supply chain and supply utilization, and then also not being confined to one space. I get a lot of interaction with members of my team, nursing manager teams, so it's pretty cool.
How and why did you choose your line of work?
How and why, I didn't really know much about it, but I worked at the hospital in another career before, and then I kind of happened upon this and found it pretty interesting, so I'll take it from there.
Do you feel like you were called to do your job, or is it just a job?
No, I'd say it's just a job.
How do you decompress from work in terms of leisure or just rest?
I like to play my bass a lot of time when I come home, or go out, play tennis, sports activities. My main two.
What would you say your proudest achievement is at your current job?
Proudest achievement, seeing guys move on to other areas. What starts out sometimes as a job for them, I've been able to help some guys move on, whether in the hospital or outside the hospital. So being able to help young guys kind of move on to bigger and better things in their career is pretty cool.